growing up?
Growing up, it will always be about food because I love food. So I think my fondest and earliest memories are just always sitting with my family eating, especially around this time of year. Christmas is a really big deal. I love cooking. So this is where myself, my mother, my sister would always be in the kitchen cooking just so much food for us to all sit together and eat. So this is kind of a nice time for me.
That accent is so heavy.
Yes,
and definitely we know. We know where you're coming from when we hear this accent.
Yeah.
I could tell that you grew up in England.
In the UK, yeah. I was born in the UK and lived there for most of my life, really.
Okay. So you were born in the UK?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
There's a question here from Kuku Ricketts Daniels, and he wanted to know where you were born, and you've answered that question. And then he says this. He says you have great accent, striking face, coupled with an hourglass-shaped body. You are so nurturing and warm, and he's wishing you the best in your
thank
endeavors.
you very much.
Do you share what Kuku is saying now?
Of course. Why do you disagree with him?
No, I'm just asking the question. Really? What are you being so...
Do you agree?
No, I was loving you.
Do you agree?
I was loving you. And what else can a mother do? You know?
Thank you, mother.
Yeah.
I appreciate you.
Mom has got to let you know that, hey, you have it all. Don't let any guy deceive you.
I got it from you.
Oh, okay, I wish.
School. So
Yeah.
you have 3 degrees.
I have 1 degree. I have 2 masters.
That's 3 degrees.
Okay.
Oh, is it?
1 bachelor's and 2 masters.
okay.
Why? Why all this school?
My mum is hardcore about education. Like, from when I hated school, she was always pumping to us, education is the future. The only way you can access whatever it is you want to do in this life is education. Even if you want to be a dancer, you need to have a plan B. So initially, education was just something that I went into to just get my mum to leave me alone. She wanted me to be a doctor, which was fine. But when we started, we had a science class where we had to cut open a frog. Yeah. After that, I was like...
You didn't like the dissection?
No, and then they took us to an abattoir with cows. So they killed the cow in front of us. After that, I became vegetarian for 3 years.
Straight?
So there was no straight.
My
like,
goodness.
no, I was traumatized. I didn't eat for 3 days. And then after that, I couldn't eat meat. So, well, now I can. But at that time, it was too much. So I realized I can't do this doctor thing. It's not going to work.
So then you became you studied psychology for your first degree?
Yes, I studied psychology, and then I went on to become a teacher. So I started teaching chemistry, biology, and physics, and I did loads of like little courses to make sure I was apt enough to do that. I did that for the best part of 4 to 5 years, and then I went into senior management, where we started training other teachers and just making sure that the classroom environment was getting maximum conducive. Is making sure that the environment was very conducive for learning, for both the teacher and the people.
What were your other degrees in the master's degrees? You have 2 of them.
Yes, so then after that I actually came here and I decided to do entertainment. I was still doing teaching, so I'm working with a lot of international schools with my own company, but then I decided that I was kind of amazed, because when I started it was quite overwhelming. I wasn't expecting it to go the way it did. I had a lot of faith, but I wasn't expecting it to go the way it did. And I saw that the media has a lot of power. So I decided that I want to learn more about the media. I want to learn more about the online world, because that's how I was introduced. So I first did digital communication and media, and I looked into just how does it work? Because I know that social media is like the thing now. It's creating people. I feel that a big part of my career, I wouldn't have existed if it wasn't for social media. So I went into that very, very hardcore. I got my master's, and I didn't feel like I was enlightened. I felt like, okay, I've got the qualification, but it didn't open my mind to the fullest of what I wanted. So I thought, you know what? Let me look more about the content that is being pumped out there. You know, how do you come about writing these articles? What do you need to study in order to do it well? So I thought, okay, let me try journalism. So I started my master's in journalism. I qualified, it's now nearly 3 months ago, which is when then I started writing for the magazine.
Fantastic.
Okay.
But during that time, I was also contributing for them just to get experience. And
When is the
stuff like
PhD
that.
coming?
This week. I've done a bit now, so I want to kind of take it a bit easy.
Okay.
You're talking about the magazine. Is it the Forbes magazine?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So when did you start writing for the magazine?
I was actually writing for them for like 6 months as a contributor while I was studying. And then when I got my qualification, it was quite an odd series of events, because I was in, I don't know if you remember the June the 3rd floods.
Yes.
I was like in the floods, and I had a really bad accident. So I was in hospital for about a month, and they sent me a kind of story saying, look, we know you're in Ghana, these floods happened, can you write for us, you know, what's going on in Ghana? I said, well, look, I'm in hospital because of these floods. Let me write my personal experience. So I wrote what happened to me. At that time, I didn't know that the correspondent that they had was actually now resigning. So when I submitted that story, they were kind of like, we didn't know you nearly died in the floods and you've written this piece. They were really excited about it. And they said, look, we want to see if you can do this, which was a huge, huge move for me. And it was a lot of faith, really, that they put in me. So literally, as I came out of hospital, I went and started writing as a West African correspondent, which was a very, very huge opportunity, which I'm so thankful to God for.
This is the magazine that talks about money.
Yeah.
No, I think Forbes has a connotation of money, but it's not about money. It's actually about entrepreneurs. It's about people who have taken the leap of faith and are going and pursuing their dreams, whatever it may be. Right. They're leaders of different industries, but they're at different stages. So it's not necessarily about the multimillionaires. Yes, we do cover the rich list, but we also cover startups. I mean, recently we've had amazing people. One of my first ever articles in Forbes was Fred Digby, who does Heal the World Shoes. And he's he's picking up a lot of momentum with his business. He's doing a phenomenal job. But that story was amazing. People were like, wow, I didn't know people could do this. Luxury shoes in Ghana. We've covered Elizabeth Patterson, who is currently the Velisco Woman of the Year. And she's doing amazing things in the education space with young females. So Forbes has a connotation about money, but the reality of it is we just profile people who are doing amazing things. And I always like to encourage everyone, even people at home, please, if you know entrepreneurs that are doing amazing things, send me an email and let me look into them, because it's not necessarily about their wealth, but it's about the impact that they're creating and their entrepreneurial story.
Well, you should be talking to me after this show, okay?
No doubt. Let's do it.
But listen...
Let's see if it can work.
Exactly. I can tell that, I mean, coming from the science background, the passion definitely is leaned towards what you're doing now.
Definitely.
I can tell from the way that you even, articulate it.
Thank you.
How has the experience been, like, so far?
I think the experience from transitioning from teaching to now going into the entertainment space has been quite a challenging one. What I love about now TV presenting and event hosting and all of that is that it's so different from what I'm used to.
But you do it so well.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. I think you guys are awesome.
Oh, come on.
But it really helps, because I didn't realize how much I was preparing in teaching, presenting in class, like topics where people don't want to know about digestion, but you've got to kind of make it exciting. So I find it interesting that the skills I didn't realize I was working on have really helped me in this sphere. But I'm just really grateful that I get to pursue something I'm very passionate about, but I haven't let go of my education side. I still get to do Aim Higher Africa, which is about entrepreneurship and young people in the education space. So
there's a question
and that is with your NGO, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, we'll talk about that later.
There's a question here from on Instagram from Elom540. Says, "Peace, I love you so much. You're looking beautiful."
Thank you.
And he wants me to find out from you why you came back to Ghana.
For me, moving back to Ghana, I've always had a feeling that I wanted to come home. And it's very strange, because I was born in the UK, so most people would say, well, UK is home, that's all you know. But for me, I've always had that gut feeling. And I followed education, I did teaching, but I noticed that I had a flair for creativity. When I decided and I made the choice, I thought I could easily sit down and start going into entertainment in the UK. But I'm very passionate about coming back and seeing Ghanaians, seeing Africans do amazing things. One of the misconceptions people seem to think is, why didn't you do it in the UK? And I realized from being a teacher that when you speak to young African students, their role models are all in the UK doing stuff. They have a few people that they'll highlight. Oh, I know this person in Ghana, but I don't really know. They grew up in Ghana, so it's different. So I realized that there's a misconception that Ghanaians that are doing phenomenal things in Ghana, there's a big disconnect to the ones that are in the UK trying to, make their way and find out who do I want to be. So what I decided is, you know what, I can do it here or I can do it at home. And I found that going home actually got a much larger UK audience to say, you can do this in Ghana. They're doing TV like this in Ghana. Yeah, I know her. She's from the UK. And so I realized that it actually changed the perception of what it is to be in the entertainment industry in Ghana, and realize that, look, by me doing this, you notice, oh, there's that person as well. You have people like Shirley Frimpong, who I think is awesome, and she's constantly going to the UK and doing her premieres there. So you're bridging the gap, and you're making sure that our country, our continent, is being shone a light on the amazing things that we're doing. That's what I love about even the interviews that I'm doing now. It's highlighting amazing Africans that are doing amazing things in Africa and beyond.
Exactly.
But if you do it in the UK, it's just kind of, I feel like it will be a lost effort, and that's...
I mean, so like you said that you've been in Ghana for how long?
It's coming up to 2 years now.
Coming up to 2 years, and already you're doing so much. You're acting?
I've done a little bit of acting.
A little bit of acting.
Yes. I wouldn't say I'm like, you know, an actress, but I've done a little bit of acting. I recently did MTV Sugar. I really loved that experience. I love the whole MTV Sugar journey, really, because I love
MTV Sugar.
Yes.
Oh, that's the movie that you started.
No, it's it's an online series, and it deals with basically educating the youth about HIV and AIDS.
Right.
So I was really passionate about it because I love the way they managed to merge education and entertainment to form a platform that has such a huge following, but it's informing people about AIDS, HIV, and showing people that it can affect anyone. It's not what you see in the films. It's real, and it's young, and it's happening now. So it was an amazing opportunity to be part of that, and I loved it. It was a huge learning experience.
Education, sorry, Kev.
Go ahead.
Education, you know, seems to be running through everything that you say.
Yes.
So I definitely know where you're coming from. And indeed, you talk about how that your mom was so big on education.
Yes.
And I know about the foundation, you were about talking about the foundation, and it's kind of deep-rooted in education as well.
100%.
Could you let us in?
Well, when I moved back, I thought I wanted to still do education. I couldn't leave the classroom. I love it. So I started my own business, which was Aim High Consulting, and it went to different schools, just talking about how to improve the systems and structure that they already have.
What level?
Secondary school and university. That's the level that I taught at in the UK, so I kind of kept that consistent. And then I went to different schools. I worked with the management, I worked with classroom, the kids, and just made sure that we were introducing systems that made every child's learning experience count, and trying to integrate IT in learning, because that's something that that's the way forward right now. So I think it's important for kids to experience IT in so many different spheres, whether it's biology, from art, there's so many different levels. And that was one of the main passions that we did with Aim Higher Consulting. Recently now, due to how well that's going, we've now started Aim Higher Africa, which is about building creative thinking in kids. So it's going into different school institutions and teaching them about entrepreneurship qualities. I think our education system is quite strong, but I think one of our biggest deficits is that we're not teaching children how to think outside of the classroom. It's a lot of chew and pour. And my problem with that is just that although we've got such competent people, they're not thinking in the business sense.
I think that we don't have that kind of the practical base form of teaching in Ghana.
Yeah, because we're talking about frogs and cows and practical biology.
You know,
and if you don't like it, then at an early age, you know that, look, I am not going to be a doctor, I'm not going to be a vet, because this thing just scares the hell out of me.
So
it's really important.
I hope you can share some success stories with us.
Well, one of the schools that I actually worked with, they had a whole IT suite, but unfortunately a lot of the computers weren't working. So we found that a lot of kids were learning without using actual computers.
Yes.
What I love about the company that I'm working with now is that we're able to now get computers into the school. So we were able to work with the school and train the teachers on how to utilize computers, and then train the students on how to use it in their studies. So where kids had been going for quite a while without using computers, they were now able to use it regularly.